Epcot feels overwhelming, you're not wrong. It's big, it's spread out, and it's a lot to take in. When you've invested real money and time to be here, it starts to feel like a lot of pressure to do it right. By the end of this video, you'll know how to do Epcot without running yourself ragged, and you'll have my #1 tip that makes the second half of the day go way better.
Because Epcot isn't designed to be completed in a day. It's not something you're meant to finish, and trying to usually turns a really expensive day into a really stressful one. If you're like a lot of people, this trip isn't casual. You've saved for it. You've planned for it. You want it to be worth it. I've been coming here since this park opened, and I still haven't done everything, and I don't feel like I need to because Epcot, it's kind of a vibe. And when you lean into that, you actually get more out of your day, not less. And that's really the goal here. Not doing everything, but getting the most out of what you do choose to do. So instead of trying to do everything, I want to show you a way to move through this park that protects your time, your energy, and still feels easy. And that includes things like rope dropping. If you're someone who loves early mornings and that feels good to you, absolutely go for it. But if you're not, if that's going to make you or your group miserable, then it's okay to let that go. If you've got a toddler who stayed up late for the fireworks the night before, dragging them out of bed at sunrise usually does not make the day any better for anyone involved. Sometimes letting them sleep a little longer is actually what sets your whole day up to go better. A good Epcot day does not have to start at sunrise to be worth it. Okay, and if some of these ride names I'm about to talk about don't mean anything to you yet, I've got a whole Epcot 101 video that walks you through all the attractions that are in this park. I'll link that in the description. One of the easiest ways to make Epcot feel more manageable is to pick a main focus for your day. Just one. Maybe it's one ride you really don't want to miss, like Guardians, or maybe it's just taking your time walking the World Showcase. If you've got little kids with you, that one thing may need to happen earlier in the day. If you're here with tweens or teens, it might revolve around a couple of bigger rides. And if it's just adults, honestly, that anchor might be something as simple as a fancy cocktail, a charcuterie board, and nowhere to be. And if you're using Lightning Lane Multipass, this is where that anchor really helps. For families with younger kids, you might prioritize something like Frozen or Remy earlier in the day. For teens or thrill seekers, you're probably looking at Test Track or Guardians. And for adults, it might just be a way to skip one long line so the rest of your day can stay relaxed. But if you're not using it, or it's just not in the budget, that does not mean you're doing this wrong. This still works. It just looks different. You might need to be a little more intentional with that one focus. Head there earlier, or make that the one thing you're okay waiting for, and keep everything else flexible. That gives your day shape without turning it into a schedule, so you can focus on what matters without overloading yourself. Come to think of it, I'm curious, what kind of Epcot day are you trying to have? Like rides, food, or just vibes? Let me know in the comments. If table service dining is important to you, Epcot has some really great options. And I'll have a full video in this series going through the dining options and how to think about it. So if that's your thing, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. But this is one of those areas where it's really easy to overschedule your day without realizing it. A good rule of thumb is to just keep one reservation in a day. That way it feels like something you're looking forward to, not something you're having to rush across the park to make. If you stack multiple reservations, it can start to dictate your whole day. Where you go, how fast you move, and how much you feel like you need to get done in between everything on your itinerary, or worse, a spreadsheet. Seriously, don't do that to your group. And that's usually when the day starts to feel stressful instead of enjoyable. So if dining matters to you, make it part of the experience, but let it support your day, not run it. And just so you know, even though those reservations can be made months in advance, they're not completely set in stone. Plans change, and most of the time you can modify the same day if you need to, so you don't have to feel locked in. You can adjust as the day unfolds. Okay, once you've got that main focus and your dining isn't ruining your day, Epcot starts to feel a lot simpler to move through, which means you don't have to overplan every step just to have a good day. The front of the park has more of the rides and bigger experiences, and as you move back into World Showcase, it opens up into something a little more relaxed. And once you're back here, you'll hit one of Epcot's most important decisions. Do you go to Mexico or Canada first? There's no wrong answer, but if you're planning on drinking around the world, starting in Mexico and working your way toward Canada tends to be a little more forgiving. Either way works. You're just choosing the version of the day you want. If you've got kids, this is usually where the pace starts to shift a little, and if you don't, this is where people tend to slow down on purpose. And just to give you a feel for how this can come together, your day might start with that one priority you pick. Then you naturally do a couple of things nearby, nothing rushed, just what makes sense in that area. By early afternoon, you'll usually start to feel it a little. The heat, the walking, the decision fatigue. Okay, deep breath, sit down with me for a second. This is usually the moment where everything tips from we're having fun to we're just trying to get through this day. And this is where a small shift can really save your day. Instead of trying to push through that, this is your cue to reset. If you've got younger younger kids, it's a great time to think about a true reset. If you're staying on property, give yourself permission to head back to your resort for a bit, let them nap in the room or unwind at the pool, and then come back later for the evening. Especially if you're planning to stay for the nighttime spectacular, that break in the middle of the day can make a huge difference in how the whole day feels. And even if you're not headed back to the resort, this is a good time to slow things down. Find some shade, sit for a bit, and let the pace drop. Those are the moments where things can reset enough for everyone to enjoy the rest of the day. And honestly, that reset in the middle of the day can make the difference between a good day and a really hard one. If you're with teens or adults, this is still a good time to slow down. Maybe sit down somewhere inside, take a break, or just reset before heading into the back half of the park. Then, as it cools off, you ease into World Showcase. No pressure to do it all. Just explore, stop where you want, eat what looks good, and enjoy the atmosphere. That's the real rhythm of a good Epcot day. And this may be the most important part. You don't have to do everything here, but you do want to be thoughtful about what you choose. And sometimes the easiest way to protect your day is knowing what you can let go of. You probably don't need to do every single country in one day. World Showcase is meant to be wandered, not completed. It's okay if you only make it halfway around, or even just spend time in a few places you really enjoy. You also don't need to ride every ride. If you've got little kids, you may skip some of the slower, more educational attractions that don't hold their attention as well. If you've got teens, you might focus on the bigger rides and not worry about seeing every single pavilion in detail. And if it's an adult trip, you might skip some of the rides altogether and lean more into the atmosphere, the food, and just being there. You don't need to eat at every festival booth. That's one of the fastest ways to feel overwhelmed and overspend. Pick a few things that look really good to you, enjoy them, and move on. And you don't need to have a perfect timing for everything. Not every ride needs to be done at the ideal time. Not every moment needs to be optimized. What matters is choosing the things that actually make your day feel worth the time and money you've invested. Missing things at Epcot is not failure. It's actually part of the design, especially if you're here with kids, or honestly, even in the Florida heat, trying to do it all is usually going to backfire anyway. A better day usually comes from doing a few things well instead of trying to do everything halfway. If you haven't seen Epcot 101 yet, that's where I walk you through everything that's actually here so you know what your options are before you even get to the park. This video is really about what to do with that information once you're here. And next, I've got a video coming that's a little different, more about why Epcot feels the way it does and why it's stuck with so many of us for so long. And if you want something you can take with you, I've put together a simple cheat sheet to go along with this video, just to help you keep this approach in mind while you're actually in the park. You can scan here to download it, and the link will be in the description.
If you leave Epcot feeling like you had a good day, then you did it right. Not because you checked every box, but because you spent your time on what mattered most to you. At the end of the day, it's not about what you did, it's about how you feel. So just slow down and let Epcot unfold a little.
And if this video helped take some of the stress out of planning your Disney trip, consider subscribing. It's free and it helps these videos reach more people who might need a little less overwhelmed too. And if you've got questions about Epcot, drop them in the comments. I'm always happy to help if I can. I'll see you in the next one.